Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse. In today's segment, I want to discuss with you the new polio-like disease that's going around, acute flaccid myelitis, and also what's the deal with herd immunity, and can we expect more diseases like this to show up, diseases that there is no vaccine for? What do we do about this? So the first thing, acute flaccid myelitis. This is not a polio disease specifically. However, the way that it presents is kind of similar to polio in the sense that when people think about polio, they think about progressive paralysis, that a person will stop being able to move a certain part of their body, and then that lack of mobility starts to spread. And that's kind of similar to what acute flaccid myelitis is. And this is not something that is spreading like a pandemic. This is not, to our knowledge right now, contagious from the data that I've seen at least. And your risk level is about 1 in a million kids. So basically, your kid has a much greater likelihood of getting seriously injured with a bicycle accident than getting this, okay? So just perspective. But it scares people. It scares people because it looks like polio. It walks like the duck. It kind of quacks like the duck. We're not sure if it's a duck. It may be something else. But for a lot of people that are reading this in the news, it's very scary. And there's a tendency, and I've already seen this in the news, to turn around and completely and baselessly blame parents who either delay or choose to selectively or not vaccinate their children for that. And that is absolutely baseless and false. So primarily here, we should focus on one thing, that acute flaccid myelitis is not the same as paralytic polio myelitis. Okay, like polio is not the same thing as what's going on here. And I think it's worth noting also that a lot of these people who are trying to scare the living daylights out of individuals regarding, vaccines, and you must get your children vaccinated with whatever the latest and greatest CDC overkill recommendation is with their schedule. What they are doing is they're setting people up to profit off of them. Vaccines make people a lot of money. Vaccines are one of the few areas, especially in pediatric medicine, where money is made, primarily because a lot of these clinics, a lot of these doctors' offices, especially in areas that are underserved, they get these vaccines for free, and then from the government, meaning us, the taxpayers, and then they're able to charge people for it. And it's one of the few things in certain practices that allow practices to be in the black. And so it's for that reason they're pushed, not necessarily because it's best for the patient per se. But one of the things that I've been reading over the past few days that kind of troubled me is, again, this idea that somehow this disease that is A, not contagious to our knowledge, B, extremely rare, less than 1 in a million chance, and then C, like less than 300 cases over the past 5 years, that this is somehow related to parents, choosing to delay vaccines, to spread them out, to not vaccinate or selectively vaccinate. And again, that's just not true. I keep hearing, and I've also heard again from government officials, that it's your duty, it's your civic duty to get your flu vaccine, or it's your civic duty to do this. Well, let's back the truck up here. Anything that I do to my body is there for my choice. If you're going to claim and use the stance that abortion is a woman's right because it's her body, her choice, are you somehow going to say that it's her civic duty to decide whether or not to have an abortion? No, absolutely not, because it's the individual's body. So if you're going to continue that line of logic, then it is not some sort of civic duty to have a medical procedure done, or to take a drug, or to do something to yourself. It is an individual's right and choice to be able to choose what they want to. And so oftentimes, you're hearing this argument that, oh, it's for the people who can't, they're too young to be vaccinated. Oh, it's for them, the young children. Okay, while I do understand the plight of parents who have had to watch their children suffer in early childhood, you chose to have sex to bring that child into this world. Okay, let's clarify here, because it's not my decision to bring that child into this world. You did. And when you have sex and you realize that I can get pregnant in doing this, I am assuming all of the risk. I am assuming all of the risk for pain at losing that child, God forbid. I'm assuming all of that risk in being able to have fun and have sex and bring a child into the world and maybe have them, God forbid, suffer a horrible illness and die. But again, I didn't choose that for you. You did. So a right doesn't come at the expense of somebody else. A right does not demand that someone else bend their life and accommodate their choices and lifestyle to your will. Okay? So it's not a right for your child to have everyone else around them vaccinated. It is my right as an individual, a free individual, to be able to make choices for myself and for my family. So when it comes to people trying to scare and shame people into the whole herd immunity mentality, I just don't buy it. Okay? Let's go down the rabbit trail of the herd immunity for a second here. The herd immunity, which I really detest that term, because human beings are not livestock. They are not cattle. They are humans. They are humans. That's why we refer to treating animals kindly as humanely, because animals don't treat each other kindly. They treat them like animals. We treat animals humanely because we are human. All right. So I believe that human beings are, of course, created in the divine image with the divine spark of the Creator. And as such, they have the ability and the right to free choices in their lives, so long as those choices do not impede on the rights of other people. Okay. With herd immunity, we keep being told that if we just keep vaccinating people and when we keep staying up on the CDC's recommended stats, that everybody will therefore be healthy and the herd will be happily ever after. First off, that's not true, because our herd size is always changing and the members of the herd are changing and not coming from the same herd all the time. We in the United States here have routinely admitted people from all across the world for various different reasons. And really over the past 100 years, our population here has swollen in the United States incredibly. Around about 1900 to now, we're looking at about a 7-fold increase roughly in our population. And our population growth here, in many cases, is coming from immigration. And here's the problem with the herd immunity argument. The herd immunity here, what we vaccinate people against here and the expectations of disease that we have here, that is assuming that our herd is going to be essentially coming from the same place, and ultimately that our herd members and the individuals that comprise the genetics of the herd community are remaining relatively contained. That is not the case when you have massive immigration to the level that we have, with people coming in from countries from all different parts of the world who have different endemic diseases that just free float and circulate around in the pool of their gene pool in their living area. They're coming from different parts of the globe that have completely different disease populations and endemic diseases than we do here. For instance, in the United States, after about 50s, 60s, we consider tuberculosis to be pretty much out of commonplace. Not seen so much here anymore. No longer endemic within our population. Read Sylvia Plath, the Bell Jar, they dealt with tuberculosis all the time. Not so much here, up until we started having people come in from different parts of the world that did have endemic tuberculosis. Enter multi-drug resistant tuberculosis present here in the United States. Okay? And so, this is not the case solely with tuberculosis. We have this from many, many people, many different diseases, coming in across the globe. And, you can't expect that these members here are going to come, standard issue, just like a natural born person would here. Now, granted, they have to be cleared of certain things before they become citizens. But the point here is that the individuals that comprise our herd are not self-replenishing. We are having loners come in from different parts of the world, and that is going to affect the types and prevalence of different diseases that show up here. Furthermore, viruses specifically, and bacteria, of course, but viruses and bacteria are dynamic living organisms. They grow, they change, they adapt just like we do, which would include microevolution. So some of the things that I'm hearing about people who choose not to vaccinate or who choose to selectively vaccinate or delay vaccination is that they're somehow responsible for the resurgence of these new diseases. No. It is not that simplistic. As a matter of fact, there have been multiple cases of individuals, I'm thinking specifically with measles, mumps, and rubella, who have been fully vaccinated, who have also had full titer levels, by the way, for those of you healthcare professionals, who have still nonetheless gotten the disease, who have acquired the disease. So in many cases, when you have people who are fully vaccinated and they get the disease, the case is often made that they were just, non-conversant, like they didn't convert. We vaccinated the hell out of them, and their body just didn't remember the disease and didn't produce sufficient titers for it. But even in cases with individuals who do have sufficient titers, they're still getting these diseases like measles and mumps in many cases. And so you got to ask yourself, what are the two conclusions we can draw from this? Only two, really. One, that the vaccines do not work or provide incomplete coverage despite the titer levels or the titer levels are not sufficient. Or two, that the diseases we're vaccinated against are not the same diseases that we are acquiring and that are producing these different symptoms and signs that are consistent with the diseases of old. So in other words, the viruses and bacteria in many cases are changing. They are mutating. And given the fact that we've had an explosion in global population and a rapid increase and large population increase secondary to immigration from different places, it is reasonable for me to assume that looking at the criteria here for having new diseases develop, change, and infiltrate into our population. We have more human beings here, more human hosts than ever before from different areas. It's a great big gigantic gumbo of a population just begging for a pandemic. And no amount of vaccines is going to, in my opinion, cover this, primarily because of deficits in good health practices and solid nutrition. And overall, when people ask me, what can I do to help stave off these diseases? What can I do? Be healthy. Eat healthy. When we look around at these children nowadays, and adults, by the way, people are not getting out in the sun. They're not exercising. Their lymphatic system is not getting stimulated because their musculoskeletal system is not working. They're sitting. They're remaining stagnant. They're sitting on the couch. They're sitting at work. They're sitting in front of a computer. They have a screen in front of their face all day long. They're not going out, and kids aren't playing in the dirt. They're not playing in the barn. They're not, helping with food production. They don't have that intimate connection with the food and the process of acquiring and growing that food that they did prior to, the early part of the 1900s. And so for this reason, I submit to you that our people are sicker, and it's not because of these wicked, wicked people who are delaying vaccines. We are sicker, and our bodies are less capable and less effective of fighting off these diseases. And to return for a moment here, lest I be accused of being some sort of cold-hearted person, to the issue of these babies and children that are too young to be vaccinated, I'm going to tell you an uncomfortable truth here. And the uncomfortable truth is that children, and this is not a value judgment on the part of parents here. I do not criticize parents for doing this, but parents who elect to undergo fertility treatments are by default high-risk pregnancies. Okay, that pregnancy, once you undergo fertility treatment, that becomes a high-risk pregnancy, mainly because the body is clearly not well enough to get pregnant by itself, and we're forcing it to get pregnant. Therefore, we tend to have to be very interventive when these children are born. That would include deep suctioning. That would include trips to the NICU, being admitted to the NICU. A lot of really heavily interventive stuff that ends up creating sicker children in the long run, more susceptible to disease, less capable of fighting it off because of an entire series and cascade of things that we did to them in their formative days, their early days after life. Again, no value judgment on the part of parents trying to get pregnant, but just understand we are creating generations of children who are sicker because we have intervened so heavily in their early lives and have not allowed them to develop strong and healthy bodies that have had the benefit of being out in the sun, being exposed to the good things that their bodies were historically meant to. So that's just my thoughts right now. I've been kind of cooking around with that in my head. I'm sure it'll ruffle some feathers, but I really don't care because I'm going to tell you the truth, whether or not you like it. It's your choice. You decided at this point. I know, right? You decided to watch the movie, so it was fully your choice. I tried to warn you, but you decided nonetheless. I know there are people sitting there scowling at the TV. Listen, I'm just trying to be nice here, man. You don't have to believe what I'm saying here, but I care about people, okay? I care about people. I care about little kids. I care about little babies and families. And I am, at this point, I'm so over seeing good people being absolutely lambasted by whatever the reactionary media is of the moment to be blamed for something, whether it's Kavanaugh or parents who decide to selectively vaccinate, whatever. I'm just at the point personally, guys, where I want people to be left the heck alone. I would like civility, but I don't think that we're going to get it. And that's okay, because ultimately in the grand, span of human existence, the Enlightenment was over a while ago, and as far as I'm concerned, we're going downhill fast. So I would like people to be nice to each other. I care about people. That's why I'm telling you this. And that's really what I have for you guys today. I am so pooped because I've been doing some continuing education for the past couple weeks. The first week I lost my voice. That's why you didn't get a video 2 weeks ago. The second week I've been doing crazy amounts of continuing education. So I've been super busy, but I wanted to put the video out there. Thank you so much for sticking with me today. I appreciate you guys so much, especially my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For $5 a month, you can get access to my newsletter, which comes out each month, and I go over the main points that I really want to talk about with you guys and go in depth on it, just a little bit different format though. So if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to me. And if you like the video and you're like, hey, that chick's pretty decent, I wouldn't mind supporting her. Hey, check out Patreon there. I got a link for you guys in the description box below. Hey, listen, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We've got the fall is coming around, winter's coming around. Stay healthy, guys. Watch some of my other videos on preventing flu, hand washing, all that. Check out the channel. There's a lot of good info for you guys there. Hey, listen, hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe. And apparently that's how we're going to end the day. We're going to put my finger in front of the camera and have the camera fall off the little mount. So hope you have a great weekend, guys. For now, it's Patreon. I'm signing off. I'll see you later. Bye.